Obviously, for me, it doesn't really affect me as in my car, because my car is compliant.
Because we are not in a lab, we are human beings in the outside world.
I have literally had grown men crying in my therapy practice because they have non-compliant vans.
Then all these cameras were always going to be for the police. It's for surveillance.
Sorry, is that an order? She's a liar, and you're a Tory.
Yes, yeah, lovely.
If we want to get to net zero, people need to use public transport more.
Especially if you believe that there's a climate change.
I'm here in Trafalgar Square at the last anti-ULEZ protest before the London mayor elections. The backlash against ULEZ since its expansion has been unbelievable, and it's become the defining issue of this mayor election. Sadiq Khan's closest rival, Susan Hall, has promised to scrap it on day one. Sadiq Khan has called Susan Hall the most dangerous opponent he's faced.
Do you regret supporting Donald Trump, who's a racist, sexist and homophobe? Do you regret liking Enoch Powell? Do you regret liking Lee Anderson, the Islamophobe? Will you apologise unequivocally for having those sorts of views and promise to be a mayor if you win that unites communities rather than your record of dividing them?
I'm here to see why people feel so strongly about ULEZ and what they really think about Sadiq Khan.
Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I want rid of Khan. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner. I can't drive for free wherever I go. We need to get the cameras down swiftly and vote for Susan Hall. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I want ULEZ gone.
Woo! We now have the ULEZettes. We started this to oppose the bringing in of ULEZ initially, but we couldn't stop it on the 23rd of August. Was it the 29th of August? It was brought in to the whole of London. Yeah. We tried to stop that expansion.
Obviously, for me, it doesn't really affect me as in my car, because my car is compliant. But the thing is, there is a thing on TfL website called Project Detroit, which is a pay per mile charge.
We had a non-compliant car. We had to spend a load of money buying a car that we didn't need and quite frankly couldn't afford in the middle of a cost of living crisis, and it's really broken us financially.
Really?
So my issue is that if he brings that in, even though he said he isn't going to bring it in, everyone's going to have to pay.
We've actually been looking at the air quality since ULEZ being expanded and beforehand, and it's made virtually no difference at all. Because these PM2.5 readings are total utter nonsense. And here we go, got 11.9 millimetre just here.
For the layman, could you explain what that number means?
Right, that number, basically, PMs, right, is particulate matter. That means anything in the air. It could be dust, it could be cigarette smoke, it could be anything. Pollen, tree pollen, raindrops, rain. So we have some fairly damp weather. It's sort of bouncing up and down a bit. So this PM2.5's limit of the old limit of 10 and the current limit of 5 is complete and utter nonsense, because we are not in a lab. We are human beings in the outside world.
Yeah. You know, it would be nice if 45,000 members that are on the site turned up. Mm-hmm. The last protest, our last push to get Susan Hall in. We need to get Khan out. He's not helping the situation. He's not for London. Sorry. He might have been born here, but he's not for London.
Mm-hmm. Why do you say that?
The police are taken off the streets, right? I think there should be more police officers. There's more knife crime. Mm-hmm. You know, he's all for promoting himself. And when it all boils down to it, charging working class people £12.50 every time you take your car off the drive, that's not right, is it?
See, to my understanding, Project Detroit was the consolidation of the congestion charge, ULEZ charges, into one kind of like simple payment system. And that's the end. To my understanding, that's what it is. It doesn't sound that threatening.
No, but if you go on the TfL website,
I have done. I've read it.
Every car will pay by 2025.
So say ULEZ still exists, but then you come up with they expand the tube massively and things like that, and they create so people, because obviously this, I think part of the issue is people who live out in Zone 7, say, they need their cars to commute with. Don't worry, to commute within Zone 7. But say they introduce like expanded public transport massively, would you support that?
Public transport, yes. But if you're a plumber, love, how can you take your item,
No,
just your
great.
plumbing things. You've gone to pick up a bath.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to just put that on the bus or the tube.
Yeah.
It's just not feasible.
No.
Also known recently that has proposed to £2 pay per mile.
Sadiq Khan says he's not doing pay per mile.
Correct. He denies it, but can you trust him? He said he would not expand the ULEZ, and look what happened there.
You're part of the Biggin Hill blockers.
Yes, Biggin Hill.
What's that?
We basically stop the installs of the electrical boxes that they are needed to then put a pole in that puts the camera up. So
Right.
we block the electrical box installs. If there is a box, then we will then block the pole foundation, because obviously they need permits for that to dig into the ground. It's all legal. So if they wanted to put a box in right here, we will stand here and they can't do the work.
Why do you feel so passionately about this?
Because I know there's an agenda.
What's the agenda?
The agenda is pay per mile next, then it's electric, then it's car sharing, then it's reduced private ownership of vehicles, then all these cameras are always going to be for the police. It's for surveillance. You think it's going to be used to prevent crime, but it's actually going to be linked to when we go to digital ID with our digital currency, all linked to our carbon footprint, essentially a credit scoring system.
And loads of mayors around England, they're going low neighbourhoods, pay per mile, clean air zones, whatever you want to call it. And it's a global push to stop people using their cars.
But is that not to do with like the effects of climate change? Like the climate change will be, if we want to get to net zero, people need to use public transport more.
That's if you believe that there's a climate change.
I do believe that, to be full disclosure.
If you look at the weather modifications that are going on at the moment worldwide, man-made is because it's these global elites that are causing the floods, Dubai, America, wherever you want. They're causing these floods to make it look like there's a problem.
People here have been saying that the ULEZ cameras are the start of a 15-minute city, a climate lockdown. What do you say to that?
They could. The point is, anything can be used for good or bad. Simple as that.
Right. Okay. Well, okay. I'll get it. That's you're saying they could be used for a 15-minute city.
They could be used
for a climate lockdown.
And certainly, if Khan gets in again, that's the big worry. I think Susan is certainly more on the libertarian side of the argument, and would therefore be less likely to do it.
Go on, get on your side of the fence. Get on your side of the fence.
Someone in their infinite wisdom has then organised a Palestine protest to go past the ULEZ protest.
Have a long walking.
Who's she? Sorry, is that an order? She's a liar and you're a Tory.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, lovely.
Thoughts on ULEZ?
On ULEZ? Oh, I can't stand it. It's horrible. Yeah, it's terrible.
You've got common cause with these guys.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, I support him. He doesn't realise that I'm with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's the thing is, he reads the Daily Mail and the Sun, so he's very uneducated.
Let's not antagonise him.
I'm not going to antagonise him, but I mean, he's made so many assumptions about who he thinks I am. How does he know who I am? He hasn't stopped to talk to me. So he assumes
That's the brains of it. He
I
doesn't
must
know who Susan Hall is. That's the brains. That's the brains of him.
Nice.
The brains. This is the guy who's read loads of books. Right.
We would all love to be driving around in £8,000 compliant cars. It would be lovely. Simply cannot afford it. You know, I have literally had grown men crying in my therapy practice because they have non-compliant vans, they can't afford to change them, and their businesses are going to go out of business, and they're going, what do I do? Do I then pass this £12.50 on to my customers as a charge to try and pay for this? Customers aren't going to like it, so what do I do?
So, for example, where I live, my village is actually small. It's on the boundary of the ULEZ zone. Our infrastructure can't even cope with the amount of people that are in our village. It is only 15,000 total our population is, but I think our radius is about 1.5 miles, 1 mile. That's how big our village is. We don't have good public transport links. It quite often gets terminated if they're running late and either diverted. That's always happened. It will always continue to happen. He's not expanding public transport in the outer boroughs of London, so therefore we're not getting increased public transport links. We have one high street of shops, that's not our full amenities. We have one little supermarket, a handful of shops, and we live in the valleys. So half of our village isn't even on a bus route. So, and they live at the top of a hill to get down a hill to get up the other side. That infrastructure isn't, they're quite happy to build more houses or flats, but we have 2 doctors, 2 schools to support the outer area and the people that live in that area.
I'm curious, see if ULEZ has been introduced with a massive infrastructure project, as in they made public transport for your village top notch, like absolutely top quality. They introduced newer doctors. Yeah, it's hypothetical.
But they're not going to, and we know it's hypothetical. But they're not going to.
Say that did happen. I'm curious, would you object to ULEZ so much?
Yes, I would still object to ULEZ. I object to ULEZ on the basis that there's enough counter-scientific research done to show that the air quality hasn't improved since ULEZ has been introduced, and the air quality has always been good in these outer boroughs that are actually in the countryside. We have a lot of farmland and a lot of farmers, and don't forget they're attacking the farmers as well. They're trying to pay off the farmers to kill off their crops. Why? Why do they not want farmers? Do you know what I mean?
Okay. We're just going to help him along.
Excellent.
Come on.
Right. Excellent.
Let's start.
Okay. Right.
Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I want rid of Cam. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner I can't drive for free wherever I go. We need to get these cameras down swiftly and vote for Susan Hall. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I want ULEZ gone.
Maybe it's because
I think I'm done. Thank you very much, ladies.